Well, hi modern historians. In this video, I'd like to give you a very brief overview of this place, Russia, that we're going to be studying during this unit. As you can see from this title screen, we're looking at a unit in the new modern history syllabus, the 2019 syllabus, called Ideas in the Modern World. We're going to focus in on the Russian revolutionary period. We're looking at the revolution that actually takes place in 1917, the events before it and the events after it. We're going to pick up the story in 1905 with the Bloody Sunday incident, and we're going to pursue the story of this revolutionary period right into Lenin's Russia until the mid-1920s at least, probably up as far as the rise of a guy called Stalin in 1928. So let's set our little way forward now. Have a look at the map. There's Russia. When we think about Russia, we need to actually place it into a global context. Look at the size of Russia. These are the Scandinavian countries. This is Britain over here. Over on this side, we've got Japan. Here's China, obviously Australia. If we were to continue around the globe, we'd arrive over here at the Arctic, I get it right, Arctic Circle, and Alaska, now part of the United States. Once the Russian Empire controlled all of this territory that we're calling Russia, plus all of Alaska. So what I guess I'm saying to you here is it is a vast territory even today. It is certainly the largest country in the world, by area. Now, it's a multi-ethnic country. There are over 160 ethnic groups that we would describe as being within Russia. That's over 100 languages. The largest ethnic group of Russia are the ethnic Russians. They make up about 81% of the population. Russia today is a federation like Australia, a collection of semi-autonomous states. There are about 145 million Russians now. Most of those Russians would identify as Christian, but it's pretty much 50-50. In fact, in modern times, people who practice Christianity is starting to slide in Russia. Which branch of Christianity are they? Well, they're Orthodox. They're Russian Orthodox Christians, part of the Eastern branch of the church. So they have quite different traditions, even though similar to Catholicism in some respects. There's a huge number of other religions, including a substantial Jewish population in Russia and a substantial Islamic population in Russia. When you think about Russia, hopefully you're picking up on this little blue divided line I've got coming through here, roughly level with, I guess, Turkey down in this area here. Running up through the Caucasus. This is the division between European landmass and the Asian landmass. I'd like you to think about Russia as both a European country and an Asian country, or possibly neither. And in that sense, I want you to imagine Russian history as neither European nor Asian, but a mix of both. Just as when we do later in the year American history, it's distinct from European history and distinct from Asian history. Russian history is distinct from American, is distinct from European, is distinct from Asian history. It has its own time scales, its own patterns that are quite distinct from others in other parts of the world. Another important aspect to get your head around is that Russia has a substantial amount of territory within the Arctic Circle. Now, with climate change, the polar ice cap is retreating. We're now starting to be able to see sea routes going here between Russia and Alaska through what's called the Bering Strait. But for most of history, this period in the winter months is totally iced over. This region over here is mostly iced over. Russia has not had what they call blue water ports all the way around. There's nowhere for ships to dock along this upper coastline. It's embedded in ice. The vast territory out here is known as Siberia. Okay, so let's now talk about Russian government. We're going to pick up the story in the early 20th century and late 19th century, when Russia was under the influence of emperors called Tsars. So this is Tsarist Russia, and it was the Tsarist Russian Empire, which was actually bigger than what you're seeing on the map here of Russia. It extended down into Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, areas that are now independent of the Russian Federation. We're going to spend a lot of time looking at the events of the 1917 revolution that led to a provisional government, a republican government, and a civil war, which ensued during that time and lasted until about 1923. In December 1922, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the USSR, or the Soviet Union, was declared a new nation. And that nation existed until 1991, when the modern Russian Federation was created. Let's now focus in on that key time period. We're going to focus on the period from 1905 to about 1928 in this